What's up guys, welcome back. Not a YugioPro or ElectricMudkip video this time, but a dueling book video this time, because we have a guest. Please introduce yourselves.
What's up everyone, it's Trifgaming, the Pen God. Yeah, so this deck, sometimes I say, Pendulum best deck, Pendulum this, Pendulum that. This is just simply the best deck. So if you look at all the ignites, it's like a huge idea behind it. I played this at the past LCS. I personally made a few misplays because I didn't test enough, I didn't train enough for the event. But this deck is absolutely ridiculous because all the ignites could search the Infernal extenders. So it's like just a whole this idea, which I'll get into in the profile, but this deck's insane, and any single person that likes decks that puts up infinity combos and plays through hand traps so well, this deck is just insane. It can play through 3 hand traps like it's nothing. All the ignites search the Infernobles, so this deck's just absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, so you already said it, you played in the LCS past weekend, right? A little over 200 players, and you played this particular list, right? So 60 cards. Anything you want to say about your list first?
Yeah, so I'm going to explain it super quick. We're going to get into a bunch of replays. Before I get into the deck profile, for those who don't know, I also have a YouTube channel talking about pendulums. If you want to check it out in the description below. But I'm going to quickly explain everything right now. So as you guys see, you play 30 ignites and 24 ignites. 3 summoners are in the painful decision. All of them are just ignites. The idea of the deck is that if you hard draw 6 ignites, you're breaking any single board going second. As you guys are going to witness in the first replay, you break a full Infernal board. Rhoda, Heritage, and Durandal, they all search ignites. So all these 37 are just ignites. With the idea behind the deck is that you want to pendulum summon. So you put 2 scales, 2 ignites. You pendulum summon your whole hand. Your opponent's forced to negate all your Isoldes and stuff. And then lastly, you use your ignites to search any Infernal extender. And then you continue extending and you play through 3-4 interruptions like it's nothing. You eat baby boards for breakfast. One more thing I want to mention is that if you guys notice, there's no connector on here. There is a specific reason behind it. For one, is that this deck has all the warrior extenders in the world via pendulum summoning. And connector always gets hand trapped, so Dolphin will never resolve. And you always get the hand knowledge via smoke grenade. So there's just absolutely no reason whatsoever to play connector. I understand it's a one card Isolde, but you get your 1 card Isolde via pendulum summoning. And Sublimation Knight, which is the next card after Rhoda, it gives you a 1 card Isolde by itself. These are small, important things you guys have to know before you get into the video, because obviously people think, connector's broken, which it's good in normal Infernal, but it doesn't actually help you here. The Dolphin will have to discard a scale, so it's not helpful for this, just so you guys understand that before getting into the replays. And another thing to mention as well is the reason why you play 60 over 40 is that if you guys see the bottom 6 cards, you really don't want to open those bottom 6 cards. So every single 40 card Ignite deck basically plays those same cards with Dolphin in there as well, which I would consider a semi-brick. So you don't want to open those. So you play 60 and you actually make it more consistent in a weird way. One more thing I want to mention, if you guys look at the side deck, you play 14 Kaijus with the idea that if you look at the top decks in the meta right now, opening 1 Kaiju destroys every single meta deck. If you open 1 Kaiju against Dragon Link, you auto-win. If you open 2 Kaijus against Dragon Link, you auto-win. And Kaijus are an idea that if you open, let's say you side in Sphere Mode, Lava Golem, and Dark Ruler, and let's say you hard draw Sphere Mode, Lava Golem, and Dark Ruler. That's 3 cards. So your opponent might, maybe get rid of one of them with Levineer, but now you're left with a dead card in your hand. The idea behind this is if you hard draw multiple Kaijus, you could special summon it and then destroy the Herald. So Kaijus are just so powerful. They also defeat Virtual World. I'll explain it later in the video. How you could bait your opponent into using a waiting VFD in the main phase 1 by in game 1 standby phase saying gamma anything, and that makes sense. So baits your opponent for the further games, and that's about it. And that's basically covers the most important parts of this deck, and you guys are gonna witness the true power of it as you guys continue going into the duels.
Right, let's see some replays. Okay, let's take a look. The first one. I think the best way is just go ahead.
Yeah, so the idea is this deck is so good. This is Pac, who, he's really good. He actually finished 2nd at the LCS. So he's going to put up a full Infernal board here, and this deck plays 0 hand traps, but it plays 0 for a reason. So you're going to see him put up the full Infernal board, and I don't want to have any spoilers here, but you literally break the full Infernal board with 0 hand traps. No deck could do that right now,
Aren't you fearing smoke grenades? Especially if you're going second?
Oh, no. Oh, that's okay. He could look at my hand, because if you think of the most crazy board which is Infernable. You know, he puts up Herald, Savage, Smoke Grenade, Charles. He gets rid of one card on my hand. I don't care. Like, that's the beauty of the Ignites, is that they all search everything in your deck, and it's so easy to play through everything, you know? So it's like, if you see here, like, all he has left now at this point, after he pops the Isolde, is a Savage Dragon. I just Pendulum Summon, I make another, Savage is nothing. You know, it's like, I could continue playing through all interruptions. That's like the idea behind the deck, is that you have 6 cards in your hand, Smoke Grenade 1, and you have 5, and the other 5, you just play through everything. All his interruptions are done right now, you know? And I'm doing the full combo through the full, like, nothing happened. Like, all these interruptions, they feel like nothing, just because what the Ignites do is it allows you to Pendulum Summon, and having a Pendulum Summon and putting extra warriors on the field and extra tuners on the field is just so insane. And this also, I'm doing this is like the, this is not the full deck profile that you guys saw. This actually is like a shortened version. I don't actually play the connector. This version's in testing. The other versions would have beat this even easier. I probably could have even OTK'd. So, like, as you see, like, I'm gonna clear the whole board. Like, don't you think that's insane? Like, clearing a full Infernal board, you know?
Actually, a bit scary. This is actually the first replay I saw, and I was like, ooh. I mean, if he's going to play through this board, yeah, there's definitely like there's potential, but I mean, it's obviously a 60-card build, right? I guess because of consistency, if that makes sense, because like the last cards in your profile,
yeah, actually,
those are like the bricks, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So you got a spot on there. In a typical Infernable deck, you're forced to play 6 bricks in a 40-card deck. So out of these 6 bricks, the math to draw a 6 sub and 40, it's around 50%, if not more, actually. So you get 50% of the time you have to open a brick. Why would you want to open a brick? The idea with the Ignites is that they're all half extenders / pendulum summonable cards. So if you open White Ignite, Isolde searches the other Ignite, then you just pendulum summon. So by playing 60 and play every Ignite ever made in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you're now actually bricking less.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that's the idea behind it, and it worked out so well. This, you're gonna notice also different side deck cards. As you guys saw the deck profile in the beginning of the video, you guys gonna notice that there's a lot of kaijus. As I said, this version against Pact that I'm playing right now is like a secondary version. One kaiju actually clears the entire Infernable board. So if you guys notice that original hand for this one, I had Sphere Mode evenly, they don't do anything, but 2 kaijus clears the board. Here he gammas me and I literally just don't care. Normally gamma hurts a lot of decks, you know? But here, like, you guys will notice, gamma, it doesn't do anything. Like, I don't care. Gamma, like, he just scooped there because there's nothing you could do. You know, like, this deck just so good with hand traps, it's unbelievable.
Kaijus, right? So now, as we've seen in the profile, you're playing like your entire side deck are like kaijus, but we've seen I'll just ask my question immediately. Is that we've seen past weekend at the LCS is that like both finalists, including Pac, were running Virtual World. How is your matchup against Virtual World?
Yeah. So the thing with Virtual Worlds is this deck does lose to VFD, but typically a lot of players in game 1. So let's say you lose a die roll in game 1. You kind of you do a very big brain play here. So what you do is you go standby phase and you go like anything in standby phase, and you're like super adamant to force your opponent to try and make them use VFD in standby phase. You don't play Gamma or Imperm, but just by doing so, your opponent now thinks, oh, this guy plays Imperm or Gamma. Yeah. Does that make sense? So for game 1, he's gonna wait for it main phase 1 only if you're like super adamant. Hence, post side deck when you end up going second post side deck game 3 or 2 or whatever, when you go second, your opponent now thinks this guy plays Imperm Gamma, I'm going to wait till the main phase 1. Right. Then you kaiju him. Right. So that's the idea behind it. Does that make sense? Like, that's the idea. It sounds kind of weird, but that's the idea behind it. Here, actually, very interesting. My opponent has a Nibiru. So I'm playing my opponent in the LCS right here, and he has a Nibiru. You guys saw how I went Herald right away? Like, this deck, he has Ash Nibiru right now. He told me he has a Nibiru in his hand, and he was waiting for Metal Marcher, but I just went Herald right away. So, like, this is playing through Ash Nibiru like nothing. He told me he has Nibiru in his hand. Like, nothing. Like, what's an Ash Nibiru? This deck plays through hand traps so well. That's why I love it so much.
Like basically any other deck, right? I mean, if you have the right extender, you can play through Nibiru, like Gamma, whatever. Yeah, that's the thing about current. I mean,
exactly.
It's like half of November. We can like expect the ban list, right? In like a month for the TCG. Do you see potential still in this list? Like, let's say if Fiber gets X'd or Link Cross gets X'd, Like, is there potential?
It's Lithium. It's very interesting you said that. Oh, definitely 100%. I'll tell you why, actually. I love that you asked me that question because what's coming out in next month? Metal Foes, which means what's coming back? My baby Electromite. So with this deck, yes, you know what? Link Cross might get banned. Hey, I don't know, man. Konami might want to release their new, make the new product, you know. Maybe Electrum could come back for the Metal Foes cards. So, you know, Needle Fiber could get banned or Link Cross. If one of those get banned, that's okay because you have Electromite. So, if it comes back. So, I think it's still good. If Isolde gets banned, I don't think it will. This deck sucks. It needs Isolde. But if Needle Fiber or Link Cross gets banned, it's okay. It's totally fine. Here, I wanted to talk about one thing here, actually. So, my opponent here has 6 interruptions. The Kaiju stops everything. I actually have an opportunity here to OTK through 6 interruptions, but I want to bring up a very stupid mistake that I do here. It's going to come up soon. He literally has 6 interruptions, and he only has 5,000 life points. So I'm going to go Access Code Talker to attack the Verde Anaconda, and a Power Tool to attack the Rusty, and it's exactly 5,000 damage. I do not use Auridon's first effect, I use Auridon's second effect. Hence, it allows you to go to Link Summon after with the Auridon. But I make a very stupid mistake with access code right here. I forget to pop the token. And because I forget to pop the token, he has a Link Karibo in the graveyard and it stopped the OTK. So I want to show there that this was through 6 interruptions. This deck could have OTK through 6 interruptions. As long as you're not an idiot like I was there. And you just have to remember the Link Karibo. So, yeah.
So you played at the LCS, right? Past weekend. How did you end up doing?
So, interesting thing about the LCS. So, the deck was XO. The only time you lose is when you made a mistake like I did. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't test enough with this deck. I just knew that the deck was insane, and I didn't test enough against the meta. So I made a small little misplays. I ended up going a bad record. Like 5-3. I was on the bubble. I was 1 win away from topping, but I played horribly. But the deck itself played miraculously. Does that make sense? It's like all my losses were never because of the deck. All the losses were minor stuff. Like as you guys saw, not popping the token cost me game. I forgot about Link Karibo in the graveyard. So that also goes to show that for even the LCS is like not a real YCS, but you should still like test for every event, you know?
Would you consider this deck easy to play, like easy to pick up, or does it really need you like something like say like Dragon Link or whatever you need to invest some playtesting beforehand?
Yeah, so I would say that this deck, as long as you understand how Infernobles work, this deck's very easy to use. The only issue is situations where you end up hard drawing Colt Wing, which is actually very interesting because when you hard draw Colt Wing, you could just Pendulum Summon with the Auridon in the field and Colt Wing will still get its effect. Little stuff like that you have to understand, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. Like for the most part, as long as you could put 2 warriors on the field, it's easy to combo. The only times is when you get hand trap and do interesting plays. Like for example, an interesting play would be if they were to hand trap Isolde's second effect, the Genba, you want to make sure you have a Herald on the field before you make Needle Fiber. So an interesting play is to save your normal summon. I learned this like, you know, in the middle of the tournament, a little late, but you could after they hand trap the Isolde, you use your Ignites to search Genba, and you normal summon Genba and still make Herald and Needle Fiber. So it's like there's some cool plays that you have to like kind of play, but for the most part, it's pretty easy.
Would you make any changes to the build? Like now that you like played it in a multiple round tournament and you know like virtual world coming from nowhere to kind of take the format by storm. Like would you actually make changes? Maybe the side deck, main deck?
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed is that the Kaiju theory worked. It worked in theory, but I also didn't expect so much virtual world. So the Kaijus were more so for like if you open 1 Kaiju, you destroy Dragon Link. If you open 2 Kaijus, you destroy Infernoble. You don't need to decide to beat that deck. But anyways, against virtual world, the one thing I would change is sometimes people do not fall for that standby phase trick that I mentioned in game 1. So post side deck, they'll use it VFD in standby phase, and you auto lose for that. So one thing I might do is play more ways to defeat the virtual world, the VFD, but I would say just keep it how it is because the most consistent way to beat VFD is, I'm telling you, the standby phase trick and main phase 1. So would I change anything? No, I think the deck is just so good. The only thing I would change is playtest more.
Be prepared, yeah. This is the last replay. Like, anything?
Would I change anything?
First, right? Would you? Yeah. Would you like? We've seen like replays going first, going second. Which do you prefer? You would rather go first or go second?
Oh, if you go first, you end up literally going first as an FTK. as you guys saw multiple times in these replays, I got hand trapped multiple times. Nibiru Ash, Nibiru Gamma. None of it matters. So I would love to go first every game because it guarantees victory. Going first is like you just guarantee you win no matter what. I don't care what my opponent has. He could have 3 hand traps. As you guys said, Nibiru, Gear Free, Protective Fiber. So I would rather go first. But this deck going second is still amazing. I wouldn't even side anything else. Like the Kaijus are just so good. Going first, second is so good. Literally, as long as you know how to play Yugioh, this deck feels unbeatable to me.
Right. Now, the thing is that personally, I've on our last TCG ban list, we know that
Yes.
What's it called? The Pendulum Magician, the one that was banned.
Double Iris.
Double Iris, right? How can I forget that? Like, imagine that coming back to 2, maybe even 3, right? Maybe I'm not sure about ElectricMudkip, as you said a couple of moments ago. But imagine like Double Iris coming back. Would you like lean towards like a Pendulum Magician build again, or
leading towards that? Probably not. What I would if even if Double Iris came back to 3, Pendulum Magicians, pure Pendulum Magicians, actually they're pretty good right now. They put up a really cool combo. I just made a video on it actually. Like it puts up a really cool combo. But what I think about this Ignite build is the fact that you let a Pendulum Summon Warriors. Like this build right here, it's better than pure Endymion. It's better than every Pendulum deck. It's better than Warriors. It's like the best of what both decks have to offer. Even if Double Iris came back to 10, Konami can make it. You could play 10 Double Irises in your deck. I would still play this deck. Like this deck, it's just so good to me. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like I just feel like going first is a guaranteed like something that no deck. I understand. Even Pendulums are in FTK going first. They put up 10,000 negates, but the way that this deck plays through hand traps is something I've never seen in history.
And that's the thing. I mean, okay, you're playing like Pendulum deck, Infernal One Knights as well, but you're basically like how do you say it, like thriving, or you want to do like basically the same thing as like the other decks, like either Helki or Isolde, and go from there. And that's the thing about this deck compared to, let's say, regular Pendulum Magicians, is that regular Pendulum Magicians cannot go for Isolde or maybe Fiber, but it's not the same as let's say like Ignites and Infernal Walls. So I get it. But I mean, I'm looking forward to December, but it's like ElectricMudkip or Helki, Linkross, Isolde maybe, who knows? I mean, imagine if they indeed would ban Isolde.
Yeah, one of them has to get banned. This is just too much degeneracy that could go on with Needle Fiber and Linkross. But one of them have to get banned. I don't think Isolde will get banned, but I'll admit, if Isolde does get banned, it's not so good for this deck. It needs Isolde. That card is just so broken.
Yeah. Okay, so those were the replays. Like, again, any last words, suggestions in the list, or anything?
Yeah. So as you guys see the thing right now and how the deck performed on the replays, there's like 100 more replays that I have with this deck that literally just continue doing the same thing. If you guys love like any deck that puts up crazy combos and that plays through interruptions so well, I highly recommend this deck. And one thing I do want to mention is that I already mentioned in the beginning, but don't change the side deck. The 14 Kaijus literally just destroyed the entire meta right now. And one more thing to note is just because it's 60 cards, don't look away from it. A lot of decks actually are better with 60. If you remove the 20 Ignite cards to make it 40, all you do is just have a higher chance to draw the last 6 cards. If you guys see the last 6 cards, they all suck. You don't want to open any of them. So by playing 40, you have more chance of it, and all the Ignites make it more consistent. So the very last thing I want to say is that this deck is insane. I highly recommend you guys try it out. And one more thing I want to mention is that if you guys love Pendulums, check out my channel too.
I'll leave the link in the video description.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
one more thing I want to say.
Thank you for having.
One more last thing. Is all you guys better subscribe to my boy Lithium too, baby.
It's always appreciated. Okay, thank you. Lithium signing out. Peace.